Good morning, everyone. Let's start the class with some prayers. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parbrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhurbhavaswaha, Tatsavitravare Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat, Asto Ma Sadgamya, Tamso Ma Jyotirgamya, Mrityurma Amritam Gamya. Om Sahna Bhavatu, Sahna Bhunaktu, Saviryam Karvavahi, तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहि. Om Shanti 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 Om. So Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, and we were looking at the story of creation in this section. And today we are going to do the mantras where he has, this Rishi is talking about the division of society into four main groups, depending upon the predominant psyche of the individual. Remember that. Exactly same thing Lord Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita. They are the spiritual group, actually. The first one, the Brahman. Then there's a ruling group. Then there's an economical group. And then the fourth one is the labor group. As I was telling you last week, that this grouping is universal. It is not particular to any country or any period. It really started with the creation of the world by the Creator. So that means it's in the cosmic mind. Unfortunately, in India, we started calling it a caste. And that's why there is a big stigma attached to it. In Satyuga, there was no grouping. Dharam was complete. It was standing on all four legs. And it was the spontaneous nature of each and every individual to follow the dharam. But then consciousness got increased into the external world. Identification with the body got intensified in Treta Yuga. And that's when the Kshatri Dharma manifested. The knowledge of the Brahman was not able to control the Kshatri, who were seated on the throne to rule. So this harmony was needed. Harmony between the knowledge and the power. The knowledge is the source of power. Power without knowledge is self-destructive. So that's why every king had the Raj Guru also. They used that power to control the people, but they themselves were controlled by the Gurus with the help of that knowledge. But then the urge for creation in the Purush manifested itself as the principle of material wealth, the Vaishya. And their deities, the 8 Vasus, 11 Rudras, 12 Adityas, 13 Vishwa Devas, 49 Maruts, So we have a list of all this also in our scriptures. But then this world cannot exist without action, without work. So that's where the fourth principle of Shudra, and the presiding deity for the Shudra is Pushan, the god of nourishment, who nourishes all. And this also got manifested itself from the Supreme Creator. So let's look at the mantras in this particular section about all this, how this Rishi is explaining to us. This is a verse number 11. And in your book, it is page number 62. Brahm va idam agra asit ekamev tad ekam san bhayavat tad shreho rupam srijat kshatram yane etani devatra kshatrani indro varunaha somo rudra prajnyo yamo mrityu rishan iti tasmat kshatra param nasti hi tasmat brahmana kshatriye साधुशासते राजसूये क्षत्र एव तदशो दधाति स एषा क्षत्रस्य योनिर् यद ब्रह्म तस्मात् यद्यपि हि राजः परमताम गच्छति हि ब्रह्मेवान्तन्त उपनिश्यति हि स्वाम योनिम य उने एनम हिनस्ति हि स्वाम स योनि इच्छति हि स पापी यान भवति यथा श्रेयाम सम हिंस्तिवः. At first, the Kshatriya and other castes were verily Brahma, who was just alone. Being alone, he did prosper. He created a noble form, the Kshatriya, consisting of those who are Kshatriyas among the gods. Indra, Varun, the moon, Rudra, Prajanya, Yam, death, and Ishan. Therefore, there is none superior to the Kshatriya. Hence, in the Rajasuya sacrifice, the Brahman adores the Kshatriya from a lower seat. He bestows that prestige on the Kshatriya alone. It is the Brahman who is the source of the Kshatriya. Therefore, although the king attains preeminence in that sacrifice, at the end he places himself under the Brahman alone, who is his source. He who insults the Brahman destroys his own source. He becomes more vicious by doing this, as one does by insulting one's superior. So this is the verse number 11. So verily this was a Brahma in the beginning. So everything came out from that absolute, the source. But in this mantra, this Rishi is describing the relationship between the Brahman and the Kshatriya. And in general, emergence of Kshatriya in particular. So the creation of society is dealt with in this mantra, and also a few succeeding one. So the society is divided according to the predominant psyche of the individuals, according to the distinct nature. It can be brought under four main groups: the spiritual, the ruling, the economic, and the labor group. This grouping is universal and started from the time of the creation by the great Purush, Uttam Purush. There are several names for it. We call it absolute truth also, Brahm also, and the Uttam Purush also. In fact, in Bhagavad Gita, there is a chapter, Purushottam Yoga, Uttam Purush. This grouping has been designated as Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. We are all familiar with these terms. And as I was telling you earlier, that in the beginning there was no grouping, there was only one Brahman. And in the Purans, this condition is described as Satya Yoga. There was no government because there was no necessity for it. Because dharam was the spontaneous nature of the individuals. The knowledge of the Brahman was not able to control. So the principle of Kshatri came into existence. So the rulers, the leaders, the political system, and later on, as we see, more and more, we need not just only the police, but the jails also, the lawyers also, the judges also. In the whole society, we see that now. Because if a general public does not follow the dharma to control, any society needs all of it. The Kshatri was seated on the throne, but the Brahman was there too. But there was a mutual interdependence between those two. And this is what this mantra says: in the absence of knowledge, power and law would work blindly. Knowledge is the source of power, and they both work hand in hand. This is what this Rishi is trying to tell us. And that's what we see in our Purans, in our epics also. The Rajguru or Raj Rishis and the kings or the rulers, they always, any action they need to take, they'll always consult with their gurus, the Rajguru. That's where the knowledge was coming from. Verse number 12. Sa na eva bhavyavat sa visham srijat yanye etani dev jatani ganesh akhyante vasvoh rudra aditya vishve deva marut itihi. He did not prosper still. He created the Vaishyas, those classes of gods that are described in groups: the Vasus, the Rudras, the Adityas, the Vishvadevas, and the Maruts. It's like a further creation, because he was not satisfied even after the emergence of Kshatriya. So where did the Vaishya come from? Virat projected the Vaishyas. The Vasus, Rudras, Adityas, Vishwadevas, and Maruts. So Vaishyas represent the economic principle and the acquirement of wealth in which we all work in company with the others in order to bring in success. See, just like a ruler needed the guidance from the Brahman, now Vaishyas also cannot just act without the other two. So they are represented in groups. Vasus are 8 in numbers, Rudras 11, Adityas 12, Vishwadevas 13, and the Maruts 49. It is explained in our Purans very in detail, and even Bhagavad Gita. We are familiar with these terms. But these are the deities of the Vaishyas. And next is verse number 13. Sa na ev bhyavat sa shodram varnam srijat pushnam ivam vepushaha iyam hidam sarvam pushyati yad idam kinch. He did not prosper still. So that means the picture was not complete yet. He created the Shudra, which are called Pushan. This earth indeed is Pushan, for it nourishes all this that exists. So Pushan is another Vedic deity. So the literal meaning of Pushan is nourisher, because this earth nourishes all. I mean, we can see that whatever we see on top of the earth came from below. So that's why it's called Pushan. The Shudra represents labor without which no society can flourish. The Virat, originally one in which all groups in society existed in a latent form. Because where is all this coming from? It's all coming from Virat. Which is one. From that one, many are coming. So now it has become 4: Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and the Shudra. And representing understanding, power, material wealth, and labor. Okay, so it's like a Brahman has the full understanding. The knowledge is there. But power is in the hand of a Kshatriya. Material wealth in the hand of the Vaishyas. But service, the labor, is in the Shudra. These are the psychological sides in the desire to manifest. So this is like a master will of Ishvara manifests itself as this whole universe. This is what we have to understand. Because when we understand it fully, that all of it came from that one, then we will not discriminate. That who is higher, who is lower. For the society to run, we need all 4. And respecting each other. Let's see, number 14 now. See, these are very simple verses. I'm sure you are understanding it in its true implication. Sa na eva bhyavat tat shreho rupam te srijat dharmam Tad etat kshatrasya kshatram yad dharmaha tasmat dharmat param nasti atho avlihyan baliyam samashanste dharmen yatha ragyavam yo YSA dharmaha satyam vetat tasmat satyam vadantam ahu dharmam vadati iti dharmam va vadantam satyam vadati iti etat eve tadbhyam bhavati. He did not prosper still. So that means the picture was not complete yet. He created a noble form, dharam, righteousness. It is righteousness which is the ruler of even the kshatriyas. Therefore, there's nothing greater than righteousness. So even a weak person wishes to defeat one who is stronger through righteousness, as one does through the king. What is righteousness is indeed truth. Hence, people say of one speaking what is true, that he speaks what is righteous, or of one speaking what is righteous, that he speaks what is true, because both of them are but righteousness. So this is verse number 14. So we all know now that Virat created the four orders of society. The wise Brahman, the powerful Kshatriyas, the endeavoring Vaishyas, and the serviceful Shudra. But still he was not able to organize the social order. Without law and order, we all know there will be a chaos. So the cosmic creator produced dharma and established the divine laws to govern and control the creation and the created. This dharma rules over even the kshatriya, the most powerful and strong group. And in the deity which we are familiar with, like Indra, Varun, Som, Rudra, Yam, Mrityu, Ishan, there is a dharma for them also, for those deities. If they go against the dharma, they get punished, just like we do. So this dharma is the ruler of even the rulers, the governor of all temporal powers. So it surpasses all in greatness, nobility, strength, and perfection. So that's why God says, when there is a dharma, to establish the dharma back, I come back again and again. We see that in our scriptures very clearly. That is a reason for God to come as an avatar. So dharma surpasses all in greatness, nobility, strength, and perfection. So taking shelter under the banner of dharma, even a weak person hopes to defeat his stronger opponents. Physically, Kauravas, they were very strong. Their army was a lot bigger. The ratio between Kauravas and the Pandavas, it was 11-7. But still, Pandavas, they were on the side of the dharma. So this is what this verse is saying, that taking shelter under the banner of righteousness, even a weak person hopes to defeat his stronger opponents. Even as one hopes to defeat the government which rules over the whole country with the help of existing laws through the judiciary. So dharam is correct. It is a scientific living according to the laws of life. That is dharam. It is the governing principle of earth as well as heaven, and the economic and social laws of the people. Dharam is a perfect pattern of life and concerns with life as a whole. And what is the other half of dharam? Happiness. Where there is a dharam, there happiness resides. So if we want to be happy, we should follow the path of dharam. A righteous king will not be unjust and cruel to his subjects. He will be very sympathetic, helpful to his people. A righteous merchant will not be greedy. So this dharam is not only for one class, it's for everybody. So a dharmic merchant will not hoard, will not indulge in falsehood and adulteration. He will conduct all his endeavor and business properly in a spirit of righteousness. A righteous servant will serve his master honestly, with faith and devotion, and will contribute to the peace and welfare of his master's home. So this dharam applies to every section of the society. Dharam is the code of morality when it's put into practice. That's what morality is. Its theoretical side is what is known as truth. That's what this mantra is saying, truth, satya. Satyam vad dharmam char. That was the very first lesson to the Pandavas and the Kauravas. Yudhishthir followed it. Duryodhana, on the other hand, did not. Satyam vad dharmam char. Its theoretical side is what is known as truth. That's what it said in this mantra. That which is dharam is verily truth. One who speaks what is true as enjoined in the scriptures is truly a righteous man. A dharmic man is truth personified. That's why we look up to those people. In fact, Satya is one of the principle on the ladder of yoga. So not only speaking the truth, but living the truth. Satya. That is dharam. Because righteousness presupposes truth as its basic principle. And the truth is expressed through the medium of dharam. So that's why it is said that to represent both truth and dharma, or in other words, satya and dharma are one and the same thing. Satya and dharma. It is very difficult to distinguish one from the other. So dharma is the manifestation of the divine power itself. Dharma. And that is the reason God has to come back here to establish the dharma. And when a person knows this great law, there's a harmony. Harmony in our own little universe, this microcosm, and there's a harmony in the outer world also. When the family members, they are truthful to each other, there's a harmony. When there's a truth is being followed in any company, it could be between the friends, or it could be in an industry, or in a political system, there's a harmony. So this is the great law. And when we are ignorant about it, it brings disharmony. And what happens from disharmony? Weakness, failure, suffering. When there lies in any relationship, what happens? Relationships break. It's a disharmony. So truth and dharma, they go hand in hand. This is what this mantra is telling us. Let's look at one more verse, and we'll try to finish this section next week. And this is verse number 15. Tad etat brahmkshatram vidshutraha tad agnimev deveshu brahmvat brahmano mnusyeshu kshatriyen kshatriyo vaishyen vaishya shudren shutra tasmat agnavev deveshu lokam ichante brahmane mnusyeshu etabhyam hi rupabhyam brahma bhavat अथ यो हव अस्मालोकास्त्वं लोकं दृष्ट्वा प्रैति स एनं विदितो न भुनक्ति यथा वेदो वाननुक्तः अन्यथा कर्म अकृतं यद हि वह अपनेयं विनं पुण्यं कर्म करोति तद्वादस्यन्तः क्षीयते वह आत्मनमेव लोकम् उपासीतः स य आत्मन एव लोकम् उपासते न हास्य कर्म क्षीयते अस्मात् एव आत्मनः यद काम्यते तत् सृजते हैं. Thus this fourfold caste was created, the Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya and the Shudra. Viraj became a Brahman among the gods only as fire, and among men as the Brahman. He became a Kshatriya among men through the divine Kshatriyas, a Vaishyas through the divine Vaishyas, and a Shudra through the divine Shudra. Therefore, people wish to attain their objective among the gods only through fire, and among men through birth as a Brahman, since Viraj assumed these two forms. But if anyone goes out of this world without realizing the objective of their own self, the latter, being unknown, does not protect him. Just as the Vedas, unread, or any other work not performed, do not help. Even if a person who lacks such knowledge does plenty of meritorious work in the world, that work of his is undoubtedly exhausted at the end. One should therefore meditate only upon the objective, that is the self. The work of one who meditates only upon the objective of the self is never exhausted. For he creates whatever he desires from this very self. So this is verse number 15. Let's look at it. What does it really mean for us? Because so far he has been talking about the social division, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. And he is telling us that all of them should follow the dharma. And now in this verse he is saying that he, the creator, assigned to fire the duty of the Brahman among the gods. So that means he deputed the fire to act as Brahman for the gods. Fire is the taintless deity among the entire group of gods. And these gods we are talking about, these celestial elements, the powers. So fire represents purity. It is generally said he is as pure as fire. Fire embodies in itself all purity, and it is considered as a Brahman among the gods. So he, the creator, became as a Brahman among men by virtue of spirituality. Okay. So that's what we see in Bhagavad Gita also when Lord Krishna talks about the qualities of a Brahman. Truthfulness, sacrifice, studies, selflessness in the Brahman. So virtues of spirituality. A Kshatriya by virtue of rulership, Vaishya by the virtue of economic position, and a Shudra by the virtue of manpower. Because fire is a purity embodied, and it is foremost among the gods. It's taintless and it's pure. Everybody invoke fire in order to obtain their desired divine objectives. We worship fire. All the religious places we see either the candles or the diyas or the havan kunds. Fire grants them all their desired objectives because of its purity or its purifying nature. Unless purity is cultivated, we cannot succeed in acquiring the higher divine objectives. Purity. We need the purity in this body, in our own microcosm. If our Agni is not there, even in our system, like a gastric fire, can't even digest food. If there's no purity in our thoughts, purity in our actions, purity in our speech, that's not a dharmic person. So in order to acquire the higher divine objectives, this purity is needed. And among people who invoke the Brahman, who is purity and nobility personified, we say they are great because they have divine qualities. Truthfulness, righteousness, self-control, wisdom, intuition. We see that in the Brahman. And that's why the other three sections of the society, they look up to him. They think that from a Brahman who has these qualities, we will get either the blessings or even help. And ultimately, they are looking for the knowledge of the self, because that's what our goal is. We want to know who we are. And we go to a Brahman to know that knowledge. So in olden days also, the Brahmins were divinity personified, because they were imbued with all the divine qualities. It got polluted as the time went on. That's why this caste system has the stigma. We think a person who is born in a Brahman family is a Brahman. No. Each individual, according to the qualities, is a Brahman, according to what scriptures. Whether we look at these Upanishads or whether we look at Bhagavad Gita. So Brahmins were divinity personified. They had the divine qualities. They were the ideal for the other three classes of the society. They looked up to the Brahmins. That's why they worshipped the Brahmins. Kings, the merchants, and the masses, they used to go to Brahmins. When Dashrath was troubled, or even when Ram was troubled, they did not call their guru to come to their kingdom. They went to the forest to the guru to get help, to get knowledge, what to do, what not to do. That was the tradition. So go to the Brahman, get instructions, guidance on the spiritual science. Because whenever there's a disturbance in the mind, we are not connected with the higher self. So how to remove that disturbance? We need some guidance. And they went to their guru in the jungles, barefoot, not on the chariots, not on the horses, barefoot. So even after knowing that the objective can be acquired by invoking the central virtue, that is a purity, whoever dies without realizing the self is not protected. That's what this Rishi is saying. Because the theoretical knowledge about the self will not help us. We have to realize it, who we are. We have to experience who we are while we are in this body. He says, even as unrecited Vedas do not come to one's memory when they are ready to leave this body. So that means the regular recitation of the Vedas is a must. This is what I saw my Guruji. When he was leaving the body, he was reciting the Vedic mantras. Now when I read these Upanishads, it makes sense to me. Why was he reciting the Vedas? Everybody thought over there that he's giving us some instructions. No, he was connected with the higher power, reciting the Vedic mantras in Sanskrit. The perfect accomplishment of an act must precede the attainment of any good. So mere theoretical knowledge of the scriptures will not accomplish the liberation of the embodied soul from its bondage. But how about the people who don't even have the theoretical knowledge of the self? Who are materialist? What will happen to them? Because they did not know, they did not even put any effort into knowing what is perishable, what is imperishable. Because while living in this perishable body, we are supposed to realize what is imperishable, and this is what I am. In future, if we get a chance to study Chandogya Upanishad. Over there, it said that if he becomes desirous of the world of fathers, merely out of sankalp, fathers arise, possessed of that world of fathers. It's just like a fathers means the ancestors. If that's what in our mind, that's where we'll go. Whatever is in our mind, that's where we'll go. If the soul and the God is in our mind, that's where we'll go. So again and again in the scriptures, in Bhagavad Gita also in a very simple terms, Lord Krishna told us the same truth. And we'll see that this Satya Kama word, that means a person possessed of real desires, Satya Kama. Then Satya Sankalpa, that is a possessed of the real will. So that means the person does not desire for anything which is unreal, only the Satya, the truth. Truth which does not change, which is not perishable. If this is what we want, that is what we'll get. So implication over here is that after attaining the same state of omnipotence, he becomes possessed of all powers, all desires, and everything else also. This is the great law of the universe. Or you can call it a divine cosmic law. But if you don't properly understand, and if you don't obey, then definitely we'll come back here again to learn it. And that's what the cycle of this birth and death is. We are here to learn, to experience the truth by living a truthful living. And the variety we see over here, it has all come from the Creator. He is present in every minute part of this creation. This is what we are learning over here. This should be understood clearly, and we should live this life with this understanding. All charity performed, merit earned, philosophy studied, without the knowledge of this great truth is of no use. So that means we can memorize all the mantras, we can give away all the charities, we can have all the name and the fame, but if we don't understand this fully, it's no use. The world we see is really the Creator Himself, scintillating through every atom. And that's where those common phrases came. Kan kan mein Bhagwan. Do we feel it or not? Are we living a life based upon that truth or not? Do we see His glory through our senses or not? These senses are the windows through which we are supposed to experience it. Through the eyes also, through the ears also, through the nose also. Touch and taste also. When we eat food, what do we do? Do we remember Brahm? Again, Lord Krishna, what did he say? Brahm is in the food. Brahm is in the eating. Brahm is inside also. Every part and parcel, Brahm and only Brahm. So we got to pay attention to this truth. So that was the main reason this great Rishi has gone through this creation so that we can remember Creator is everywhere. Initially, we need some temples. He will tell us. He'll talk about the rituals also for us. Why do we need the rituals? Do we really need the rituals after we realize this or not? But right now, he's just bringing our attention towards this fact that Creator is in the entire creation, homogeneously, not just here and there and somewhere. And it's not somewhere more and somewhere less. Let's stop it here and we will start with the verse number 16 next week. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaye Purnameva Vishishyate Om Shanti 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 Om. Thank you very much for coming and listening.